Blessed morning, family. Welcome to this channel where we share the secrets on how entrepreneurs can free up their time and build a business that creates real freedom for them by leveraging systems. Systems stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. And so what makes me want to record this video is I'm actually out here in Greece and we're currently on a hike. We're on like a 6-mile hike right now. We're on like mile 3 right now. And as I'm on this hike, it makes me reflect on the journey and the lessons that I had to learn in order to build a successful business that can essentially operate without me. And the way I was able to do that was by following a simple 5-step process. Simple 5-step process that I'm going to show you in this video that will essentially allow you to delegate pretty much any task that you're working on. And so something that we hear from a lot of entrepreneurs is like, hey, I can't delegate this. If I delegate it, no one's going to do it as good as I'm going to do. And that is probably true for now. But when you follow this 5-step process, it allows you to not only delegate it, but it delegates it in a way that allows you to get people to take over responsibility and they're better at it than you are. And so the example that I like to use is that I own, some of you guys know Go High Level, so I own a SaaS. And Go High Level is a CRM, and it requires a certain level of tech expertise. And I used to be the expert in Go High Level for the longest, but it would make me get bottled down too much in tech. And I would get bottled down in tech and I wouldn't be able to focus on the things that matter the most in the business, which is allowing it to grow, creating more partnerships, closing more deals, right, and making more money for the business. And the reality is, I probably didn't even enjoy doing the tech that much, right? I'm not even a tech person at all. I went to school for accounting and I have my master's in business, so I'm not even a tech person. But it was a cool tool that I liked, and it was a way for me to start a successful business. But when I was bottled down in tech, I couldn't grow the business. And so when I hire people to come in and take over these things, not only are we in a place now where they handle all of it, but they're like 10 times better than me at it as well. And these are virtual assistants that cost $5 per hour from the Philippines, right? So imagine that. So I'll share that example with you. These views are so crazy, y'all. Look at them. Gotta take a quick break and show you guys a view. It's my beautiful fiance back there. Wait for the camera. Views are crazy, y'all. But one thing that we gotta realize is our time as a CEO of our business is literally the most important factor for growth. Like, it literally determines if the business grows or if it doesn't. And most people, they don't realize that the true value of their time is like $5 per hour. I mean, I said $5. It's like $500 per hour, 500 to 1,000. I believe every entrepreneur, that's the minimum like value of your time. And if we are doing tasks that we can delegate for $5, $10, even $20 per hour, we're constantly losing money in our business when it comes to opportunity, because we're using the most valuable resource of our business, our time, which is worth $500 to $1,000 per hour minimally. And we're doing things that we can pay someone $10, $15, $20 per hour to do. $5 per hour if you get a virtual assistant. So I share that to allow you guys to understand, like, these 5 steps are so critical, not just for the growth of your business, but also for your sanity and for you to get more freedom as an entrepreneur, so that way you can build a business for the reason that you built it in the first place, which was to get more freedom, spend more time with your kids, vacation, do these things. And so we're in Greece and my business is able to run on autopilot. And that's because we implemented the right systems and I was able to delegate things the right way. So here's a 5-step process I'm gonna share with you guys. So the first step is you do, right? So you're currently doing the task, you're solely responsible for it. And at this point, the issue is you are also doing the task and you're also responsible for the decision making. And when I share the rest of these 5 steps or these other 4 steps, I want you to have the perspective that you're not delegating just the task. That's like an amateur move, right? You're also delegating the decision making, because if you delegate it, what's going to end up happening is people are still going to hit you up and consume all of your time. And completely defeats the purpose on why you delegated the task in the first place, right? So you start off and you're currently doing a task. That's step one. Step two is you do and you document. All right, y'all, so I'm gonna jump onto step two, but I gotta take a quick break because if you guys could see, this path is starting to get a little dangerous. And so I don't wanna be like recording a video and doing that. Again, y'all, these views are so crazy, man. All right, be right back, family. All right, just in case y'all thought I was playing about it being a little dangerous over here. All right, family, we're officially back. The route is a little more safe now. So where we were, step two. All right, we start off step one, you do. Step two is you do and document. Now, let me jump into this a little bit because this is something that is tedious, but it's something that's going to be the most valuable thing you can do in your business. And honestly, a lot of times when it comes to like showing people how to actually implement systems, it really comes down to understanding this principle that the tedious things that are really small, the things that we don't want to do, creates tremendous impact on our business. And one of those things are documenting our processes. Now, when we say documenting our processes, what we're talking about is creating something called a standard operating procedure, or what a lot of people will call a SOP. And so I have experience from corporate to learn SOPs and how it works, because in corporate, I literally had to go into different departments and help set up the documentation. And one of the reasons that we did it when we were in corporate was because when you documented the processes, it allowed you to identify the gaps, areas where you can automate, areas where there's low value activity that you can delegate to newer employees. So that way you're not like having the employees who are more experienced, you might be paying, $40, $50 per hour in corporate. You don't want them to do tasks that you can pay someone fresh out of college to do. And so this is a principle that we also, obviously use in entrepreneurship, is when we complete this step of documenting the processes, it allows us to do the same thing. Identify the areas where we can do automation, identify the areas that we can hand off to a virtual assistant. So it really is like the first step to like improving your processes. And so a standard operating procedure is literally just a step-by-step framework, a step-by-step guide on how to do any task. And we say you do and document because a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, will try to like wait until this perfect moment where they could sit down for an hour and document. But that's not really effective. The most effective method is going to be to document the processes as you're doing the task. And one of the easiest ways to do that is video, literally recording a video as you do the task, explaining what's going on, because it creates like an amazing reference point for whoever takes over that responsibility. All right, back to it, family. Had to take a little break because it got a little dangerous again, y'all, again. But we back to it. So what we were talking about was the importance of recording as you do the task when it comes to documentation. And what makes this so valuable is that like most of the time we do tasks and we're like so like ingrained in it, like our subconscious mind has parts of the process that our conscious mind will forget. And so when you record as you do, you get to catch those many like important steps that you would typically forget about if you were just to either write it down and document it, or if you were to like train someone. And another important part about recording as like you document processes is the fact that anytime there's like that gray area, right? When the task is like, oh, well, when it's like this, I do it this way. When it's like this, I do it that way. Well, a part of your documentation is explaining that, right? Like it's so much better to have at least that part than to have like nothing at all, right? And so that's something that we learned was record as you document, and then also write down the steps as you do it as well. You can research, like there's so many like different ways to do standard operating procedures. There's no like concrete way of doing it, but if you research it and just literally search examples, you'll see the different ways to do it. And it's simple. It's literally documenting like the steps, taking screenshots of anything where it's appropriate, And one of the biggest things with standard operating procedures, people always try to like make them perfect. And standard operating procedures are never perfect. Like, it's constantly changing, and having something is 100 times better than having nothing. So you do and document is step number 2. Step number 3 is going to be hand off with roles and responsibilities. Now, what that means is that you hand it over to someone and you clearly show what it is that they're supposed to be doing. I can't tell you how many people will hire people and not have a clear description of whatever the role is that they're doing, a list of the tasks that they're doing. And when it comes to roles and responsibilities, it's very important to also identify what's in scope and out of scope. Because one of the biggest issues when you're growing your business and get more team members is that like roles will collide a little bit, right? So some people will work on a task and someone else might also have a piece of that task, and it really interrupts kind of like the responsibility factor of who's like truly responsible. So when things go wrong or if things are going right, whatever, you don't know who to technically point the finger to because you never show who has true like ownership over different tasks. And so you do, so let's start over. You do and document. And then step 3 is hand off with roles and responsibilities. And now we have AI, like it makes it so much easier to identify roles and responsibilities now. And you can like look up research of how other companies or other competitors make these roles as well, right? Because the information is there on ChatGPT. So roles and responsibilities are super key, and it's something that people skip. Now, step 4, when I say 90% of people, when they delegate a task, they skip this step, all right? And this is so important. This is probably gonna be one of the biggest gems of this video, is when you hand it off, right? The next step, which is step 4, is they do and you provide feedback with milestones. Can't forget that. So they do and then you provide feedback with milestones. And let me share like a story of kind of how I discovered this in real time and how important it is to do it this way. So I have an executive admin, and sometimes we create like sales presentations for our clients where I'll come in and essentially like write their sales presentation. And that also comes with slides. And so I'll write the words and provide direction to my executive admin on how to actually create the slides for the customer. But if I was to, let's say it's 30 slides and I hand that over to them and they go do 30 slides and I hate it, I'm gonna be upset because I'm gonna say, wow, you wasted 2 days to do this task and it's not even done right. Whereas the better approach would be for them to do 5 slides and then check in with me if it's the right direction. So that way we don't have too much wasted time, right? And so that part is essential because like most people, when they hand over a task, they never create that opportunity of providing feedback. So therefore, that person is constantly doing a task, you're not giving them any feedback, and they constantly are doing it wrong. And that's how we see so many people hire people and they're not around long, right? Like they have to keep firing and hiring people over and over again. And it comes down to skipping step number 4. Honestly, it comes down to all of the steps, but step number 4 is like so critical. And creating those checkpoints are so important. Even if it's just a 5-10 minute check-in with whoever you're handing stuff over to, it's gonna make a really, really big difference. All right. So again, that's a key piece and something that 90% of people skip. That's a really, really key piece, is handing off the responsibility and creating those check-ins. It's something that will really change the game for you. And it also allows you to create more decision makers, right? Something that we said before was handing over the task is one thing, but handing over the decision making is really what really removes you from that part of the process. And so step number 4, doing those check-ins and those milestones make a huge difference. And then step number 5, which is the final step, is going to be they do and they own the process. And now it takes some time to get to this point, right? It's a process, but it's something that you'll never regret, is constantly handing it over and without micromanaging the process. I'm sure you guys have worked jobs in the past where there were micromanagers involved. And as you know, it like destroys productivity, it destroys morale, and it doesn't allow people to become owners of the process. So therefore you constantly get dragged into it over and over again. And so that's a very, very key piece is step 5, which is they do and they own the system. Give them ownership. And when we say give ownership, one of the best things that you can do in a really good gym is going to be provide metrics, like key performance indicators is the proper term, but providing people metrics on what success looks like, because so many people don't know what success looks like. And so if you give like hard numbers that shows, hey, when you do it this way and you provide these numbers, it's successful, it makes a really big difference and allows people to really own the process. The other thing about ownership of a process as well is giving them the SOP and saying you are now responsible for managing this SOP, because standard operating procedures change over and over again. And again, like if they're changing, you need someone to own it, because you're not going to always go back and, like, if you delegate something, you're not going to go in and update the SOP yourself. So you need to be able to actually hand it over and give them that SOP and say, hey, you own it, you have to update it and keep it set. And then if they decide to leave, right, which happens all the time, especially as you have like people on your team who's growing, they end up taking, you know, sometimes they take other roles at other companies, right? And so if they own that SOP, they own the training material, which makes it easier for you to be able to hand it off to someone. And you're not relying on a person, you're relying on a system at this point. And that system is owned by someone else, but it's also owned by someone else who is able to delegate it. And they're gonna be better at you than that process than you were before, right? And that's how we get to that point. Again, it's a process. So those are the 5 steps. I'm gonna repeat them again. Is you do, step 1. Step 2 is you do and document. Step 3 is hand off with roles and responsibilities. Step 4 is they do and you provide feedback with milestones. And then step 5 is they do and they own the system. So if you guys got any value out of this training, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're interested in us building these systems for you, like we'll step into your business and me personally and come in and set these systems up for your business to free up your time to allow you to build a business for the reason that you built it in the first place, right? You built this business for freedom, to build something that can support the life that you want to create. And so if you're interested in that, we can come in and implement these systems into your business in less than 30 days. So there's a link in the description that allows you to go through that next step. And again, looking forward to providing you more value with these videos. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, share with another entrepreneur that might get value from this. So peace out, family. See you on the next video.